It's time for All Hands on Tech.
Climb on board as we explore all the amazing things happening in Nova Scotia's tech sector. Each episode, we'll chat with local experts to uncover the secrets of what makes Nova Scotia the best place for collaboration, innovation, and creativity.
All Hands on Tech is proudly produced by Digital Nova Scotia, the industry association for Nova Scotia's growing tech sector.
Welcome back to All Hands on Tech. I'm Claire.
And I'm Ashley. Today's guests have been in the Halifax tech space for nearly 20 years, offering website design, development, and digital marketing services. And it's what the owners of Aptitude Digital did earlier this year that we are excited to talk more about today.
In January, the team at Aptitude officially switched to a 4-day work week. So nearly a year out, how has the move gone? And are there any regrets? On the podcast today to talk all about it is Aptitude Digital's co-founders, Bill Doane and Chris Brown. Welcome to All Hands on Tech.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, we're so excited to have you guys. This is we mentioned kind of off the mics earlier that this is a conversation that I think a lot of people are interested in. So we're excited to dive into the 4-day work week. But first, we'd love our listeners to get a little bit of background on Aptitude Digital, kind of how you started and how you've evolved over the years.
So, back in the 90s and early 2000s, Chris and I were both independent consultants doing a lot of Oracle work, big database enterprise. And, we were kind of stuck in that gray cubicle world that was so popular in the 90s with fluorescent lights just kind of sucking the life out of you. And we thought there was something better, right? So, we started playing around with a new technology called Drupal. It was relatively new at the time. And, thought this whole internet thing was going to go places.
Yeah,
Psychic.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. And so that was 20 years ago that you started Aptitude Digital.
2005, I think, when
Right.
we officially formed. So Chris and I have been working together, I think, since about 2000.
Yeah, right around like Y2K.
Y2K, just after Y2K, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So obviously the company has evolved. How has it evolved in kind of the work that you do? And it started as a 2-person team back then, and you've obviously grown. So how has that evolved?
Yeah, so it did start as a 2-person team. We were trying to get out of the world we were in,
Right.
the Oracle forms, and so we started doing side projects, small websites for small customers, just to kind of gain the experience. And Drupal 4.7, anyone who's interested in Drupal is like would laugh at that, but so we're at 10 now. So it just sort of it caught us as an interesting technology.
So you started with Drupal, but is that all that you do right now, or do you have other services, or kind of what does that look like?
Drupal is our hammer.
Oh yeah,
That's
you
that's our
wow,
specialty.
stay true.
Yeah.
So we really specialize in Drupal. Now, how it's changed, DevOps, we could talk about that lots later, maybe. The digital marketing aspect of it, graphic design. When we started, it was like implement someone else's template. Now, with a team of people who can kind of build everything A to Z. It's starts with the whole requirements gathering, design, kind of the full meal.
And you think about our background, we come from enterprise application, big database development. And, we bring that into Drupal. So, I like to say we build websites that do things. I mean, we build we've built full-on applications using the Drupal content management system. So it's, there's a lot of potential with it. There's a lot of power, a lot of creativity.
I think developers stay interested because it's ever changing. There's always something new to learn. You can always improve, how you go about solving a problem.
So I have a question. So Drupal, obviously, I mean, anyone who kind of worked in that world will be familiar with Drupal, but I would say WordPress is more common.
For sure.
What are your thoughts? Because you seem very dedicated to Drupal.
Yeah. It's a good
So
question.
what are your thoughts on WordPress, just out of curiosity?
We host some WordPress sites
Okay.
because our clients had them before they came to us.
Yeah.
They run on the same technology stack,
Right.
stack. WordPress is, we don't have anything against WordPress, but it's kind of more limited as a content management system, where Drupal, it is a content management system, but it's also a developer kind of platform. You can build anything with it,
Right.
and it's a lot more kind of in tune with enterprise goals. larger websites and organizations. And I don't want to go too deep on the configuration, but we could talk lots about it. We really we find it as it's more developer friendly.
Right.
And especially when you start talking about the DevOps, the CI/CD pipelines and so on. Drupal is fully, compliant with that. We can integrate that in with a pipeline, as opposed to WordPress. It's kind of harder to fit in.
So if you look at the large, organizations, they're probably using Drupal, not WordPress. So WordPress is more popular, but I guess it's the target,
Right.
audience or the target use case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
would you say that because you're Drupal experts, it really sets you apart? It brings in a different type of customer?
Definitely.
Yeah. I would say so.
Definitely.
Cool.
We do a lot of public sector, a lot of large enterprise is our,
Part of it
niche.
feels like luck. We found Drupal. We liked Drupal. It ticked all the boxes for us initially, but then
It's
it
supposed
became
to be
very
your geek.
it became very popular. It became the governments, the federal, the provincial,
Right.
large organizations became their go-to. So
Yeah.
it right place, right time.
Give yourself more credit than that. You saw the potential.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear
Okay, well, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but we would love to get to know Bill and Chris a little bit better. So we have prepared some fun rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
And
Are you ready?
I'll let Claire start that.
Fire away.
Yeah, you better be ready because they're going to make you think. Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Okay.
You're like, that was easy. JavaScript or Python?
JavaScript. I don't know Python, so I say JavaScript because I
There you
know.
go.
It.
I'd have to say the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Python has a cool name though.
It does have a cool
does,
name.
yeah.
It does have a
Sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What was that fact? It was named after the Monty Python
Oh, interesting.
movies or series or something.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I wish I had the real fact, but that is true.
Yeah.
So Google that. A day at the beach or on a hiking trail?
Hiking trail.
Hiking trail.
Do you have a favorite hiking trail?
Oh, good question.
We've been around to lots in Nova Scotia. You put me on the spot, so I can't think of one.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you go hiking together?
I go with my wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sure we have hiked.
I'm sure we have. I prefer sailing over hiking. So
Oh, so you're not offended. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, we only have one more. What's your favorite thing about living and working in Nova Scotia?
people, everybody is genuine.
Yeah, I think so. To add to that, like you can find supportive, real people who connect with you. And maybe that's not unique to Nova Scotia, but I feel that here. Yeah.
I feel like that we ask everyone that question, and I feel like people is an answer that often comes up. It's so true.
The ocean.
Yeah. The ocean is another one that comes up too. Yeah.
I kind of take it for granted. It's just
Yeah.
always been there.
Yeah.
You're both from Nova Scotia?
Yeah.
There
I
you
was
go.
born here. Grew up in New Brunswick, but came back here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Winnipeg, so to me, I feel like it's just amazing to always be by the ocean. Hope to never take it for granted,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now we'll get into some more long form questions.
Sure.
And we'll kind of get into what we touched on at the beginning of this, which is your 4-day work week. So that's obviously one big thing that sets Aptitude Digital apart from other organizations is that you offer a 4-day work week. Why did you decide to make the switch, and how has it been received by the team?
It was a lot of research, a lot of reading going, last year before making this switch. And, when you start looking at the experiments that other companies had made, and especially over in Europe, and increased productivity, better quality of work-life balance, it's really kind of exciting to think about. So, most of the studies we saw, we're looking at, 15 to 20% increase in productivity, not with a compressed work week, but with a genuine 4-day work week. So, we looked at the workload that we had coming up and, realized that we needed to do something to set Aptitude apart from everybody else.
Retention,
Yeah.
like happy people are people who stay,
Right.
and we enjoy working with them, right? So we saw a lot of work coming up. It's a competitive industry, so we've been through turnover, and it's very disruptive. And just in terms of teams gelling and people knowing each other and being able to kind of work well together. So I think it's been an important kind of part of our retention thinking.
And from the beginning, Chris and I founded Aptitude, as a place people wanted to come to work, a place we wanted to go and work.
Yeah.
So, the 4-day work week is just kind of the extension of that, the logical extension of that. It's been 80% favorable, right, with our staff. We've seen metrics, as we go through sprints, 10 to 15% increase in productivity.
Interesting.
20% of people find it stressful. Chris, you're one of the people who finds it stressful.
Well, if you were someone working at 100%, you can't get more out of that person, right? If you're someone who can stay focused and someone who can kind of like keep their eye on the prize and get it done, you're not going to get 20% more out of that person. But if you're someone kind of more creative or, that you have to think for long periods of time and then, you need a brain break from it kind of thing, then it can make a difference to, so overall it's better. But even those people who were working at 100%, they needed a break, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think overall, we, on average, I view it as a 100% win. But if you talk to people, there's some who are like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those things where, something is not going to be right for everybody. So, but it sounds like the majority do enjoy it.
It's like anything. You have to work at it. Like we had to fine tune things, and we probably still are. But meeting schedules were all set up for like weekly 5-day things, and all of a sudden we had to compress that into 4, and it felt like it's too many meetings, which we probably should have been thinking about in the first place, right? So even just like changing your default from 1 hour meeting time to 45 minutes, you can easily accomplish in 45 what we used to accomplish in an hour. You just kind of encourage you to be more focused.
Yeah, finding those efficiencies, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you so it's something that piqued your interest. You saw it overseas and you thought maybe this might work for us. How did you then roll it out? Was it something that was difficult to do organizationally or?
Oh, we made a pie chart, like how are we going to support the 4-day work week, and we talked a lot about, everybody had 15 days vacation. We swapped that for 12 because that's still three weeks. So there were a lot of little details that you had to work out.
Right.
Talked about, what is, about stat holidays and what's the length of of our new day. We went from 7.5 to 8 hours. Just, we thought there's a little bit we can gain there, but we didn't want to go to this full compressed week.
Right.
I forget the question now.
It was really hard when you look at it from, an accounting point of view.
Right.
Right. Part of it, you have to have that leap of faith that it's going to be more productive.
And there was a section of the pie where it's like, we just believe in this. We can't we can't quantify that last bit. Let's do it. And being a small company, there's 15 of us ish. It's easier to make that decision.
Right.
We felt like, let's do it because we can,
There were a lot of, I guess, growing pains, in the first quarter, first 4 or 5 months. All our clients are 5 days a week, right? And they expect to be able to pick up the phone and reach support, right? Reach help. So we started splitting the team. So some people had Mondays off, some people had Fridays off, and that was horrible, right? Because we went from trying to schedule internal meetings, in a 4-day work week
or 5
to a 3-day. There was only 3 days that everybody was working together.
Yeah.
Right. So that was really painful.
And then if something needs to get addressed before the week, you could wait, Thursday to Tuesday, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly what happened. I felt like for, 3:30 on Thursday, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm here tomorrow, but, Zach's not. So, I got to get a hold of him before I don't see him till Tuesday. Yeah. So we solved that.
Basically, we all have Friday off right now, except for one person, Alex, who works Fridays. He's, DevOps and support, so somebody's answering the phones on Fridays. The whole purpose of doing this is to reduce stress.
Right.
Working on Fridays, it's not illegal.
Yeah.
Right. So we've all done it. That if we're late on a deadline, we'll put in a couple hours on Friday morning.
Or just organizing yourself for the next week. There's
Right.
there's things, do a different kind of task, for a couple hours, get your coffee, kind of just get ready for the next week. Just about Alex. So he's the most interrupted person because he's client care, answering calls, helping people. So it made sense for him to have Friday all by himself because he could accomplish, like he actually preferred that. So
Right.
that one person who's off there's a little bit method to that madness,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you guys are flexible and you're making it work. So that's good. I mean, that was kind of my next question was, as we mentioned off the top, we're coming up on that 1 year mark. We've reflected a bit here, but any regrets? It doesn't sound like you have any.
No.
You're full steam ahead on the 4-day work week. You're
Yeah.
not going back.
Not going back.
Yeah.
And the biggest difficulty, it sounds like, was maybe kind of figuring out how to work with clients that don't operate on a 4-day work week. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and the meeting schedule,
Right, yeah.
the how we use our time, which probably should always have been, a conversation, right?
I remember, as we were rolling this out, in December, January, calling our clients and keeping the communication open, letting them know what we were doing. And, everybody was, oh, that's fantastic. I wish we could do that. But are you going to be there for us? Like, our project timeline's going to slip. They had so
Right.
many questions. So, that was, that was a big risk factor. A big, in making this jump was making sure our clients were behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use any organization or consultants to help you with this, type of change management, or you just spearheaded it
No,
yourselves? Yeah.
but we did communicate and come up with a plan together with our team.
Oh.
So we didn't, Bill and I didn't just say, this is how it's going to be.
Right.
We put out an initial, here's a framework. What do you think? And then we were a couple months before we pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So, consulted with staff. I guess.
That's nice. I think that makes a
I was
big
going to
difference.
say, yeah, that type of leadership obviously helps with retention too, for staff to know that you value their input on what their workday is going to look like.
And most people were initially hesitant. They're
Right.
like, of course we'd love that, but how's it going to work, guys?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Very cool. Okay, well, I feel like there's so much to say about a 4-day work week, and so many people want to learn more about it, but that's not all that you are.
That's correct.
You've been around for many years before this past one. So I'd love to learn more about some of what you do. And in particular, we've heard that you have an impressive DevOps pipeline that has really changed the game for you and allowed you to take on large clients such as the City of Halifax, Charm Diamond Center, and more. So could you tell us a bit more about this part of your business?
Yeah, I wonder if I could expand the DevOps pipeline to
Sure.
our DevOps team, and
Totally.
there's a couple different aspects to that. But as we've grown, we've been able to support. We've got 2.5 people, dedicated to kind of this aspect of the business. The pipeline itself is just the idea that when you commit your code to Git, it automatically builds a version of the system, and it manages different environments. So developments for us, user acceptance testings for our client, and then eventually we go to production. So the code that we put in here is the exact code that is kind of managed each step of the way. Really allows us to kind of take a controlled approach, and the client knows exactly what's coming and what's changed. So that's kind of the pipeline side of it. The other part of it is the fact that it's a containerized environment, which I won't go in too deep, but it means that we basically have a complete copy of the entire system, an image of it, and as we deploy, we can roll back. So if something goes wrong with the deploy, we can press a button and roll back. All of the code has never seen the internet, so security is an important aspect of it. If there was a compromise, that next version that you roll out, we're not just placing in a file, we're replacing the entire system. So if there was some kind of vulnerability or compromise, you find that, you fix it, you patch it, you roll out a new system that's never seen the light of day. So
Right.
there's lots of kind of great benefits to it. We roll support right into that whole group of people because it tends to be, it's the whole conversation on how to take care of someone on an ongoing basis versus the development team, which is build a thing for you, right? So it's kind of, yeah.
It's kind of the opposite of the HOPE methodology,
Yes.
right? It's very carefully planned and predictable, right? So when we do a release, it's predictable. When we're doing support, it's, we've got a stable, predictable platform that can work from. It's really one of the key things that's enabled us to go to a 4-day work week, right? Because of the stability and the, predictability that we have with that we always know, where our environments are and can rely on those.
That's true, because I guess if something were to happen, you're not scrambling and trying to rebuild things or look for a backup if you have one. Or
And historically, there'd be this big moment where you
Right.
deploy and all the files have to be put in place. Well, every time someone commits code on the team, the whole thing is built. So the deployment has been tested many times by the time
Right.
we get to. So it's kind of like,
do you find when you're selling your services to clients who maybe don't have a technical background or understanding, do they really grasp kind of the
No.
impact of that or the difference?
that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We pride ourselves in not confusing our clients,
Right.
like so it's a challenge to to convey the importance of something like this without them falling asleep.
Having the appropriate tech level conversation,
Right.
minimizing acronyms and
Right.
Yeah. Examples help. We could talk about things, that have happened or that could happen, and how these approaches mitigate,
That's a good, yeah.
And you talk about like, what would it meuld to you if you were compromised? How can we help avoid that? What would it mean to you if your site went offline, you're an e-commerce site and you're offline in the middle of the day? That would be a problem for your reputation and your revenue. So we can kind of bring it back to kind of those kind of things.
the unique thing here, pipelines and CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development aren't new concepts. They're new to Drupal. Really, it's Drupal version 8 where we even had the capability to implement this kind of pipeline. Trying to get WordPress. We were talking about that earlier. Trying to get WordPress to fit into that pipeline.
We did it, but it was hard.
Yeah.
And this pipeline is what has it makes it a lot easier to take on large clients. Like we said, the city of Halifax, because I think I've been on their website and there's so many different places to go on that website. Obviously, they have to get all the information out to residents.
Yeah.
So that pipeline has made it easier for you to take on those bigger clients.
It has, but a good point about the size of the client is it's become a minimum standard for us. We don't want to maintain the smallest website without the full DevOps process. So we use Microsoft Azure. There's a whole host of products that are available, but we're lucky in that we can scale them down in price wise to a smaller client. So it's kind of our minimum.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, because I feel like that it's good to have something that differentiates you. And there's a lot of work, obviously, in those complex sites, and a lot of people who maybe can't take on projects of that size or that complexity. So the fact that you have processes and tools and softwares in place that allow you to is definitely sets you apart.
It's been really interesting the last, we look through the last couple of years, just the political climate in the globe. Cybersecurity is, probably one of our number one concerns now when we're managing a production website, and especially, say the city of Halifax. So it's, any tool that we can employ to make sure that things are more secure, to control the environments, the production environments, is critical.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, cybersecurity has become such a mainstream topic without a lot of people not really understanding what it means. So I think the fact that you have things that you can say around that, even for people without a technical background, that will put them at ease. Because I think it's easy. The less you know about something, the more you can build it up in your head. So I think that's great that you're really putting security first, because that's what a lot of people are focused on right now.
It's insurance has been a big driver for
Yeah.
some of the security items. Two-factor authentication, and
Right.
so that led us to OpenID. It's a way to take your Microsoft account that you might use in an enterprise situation to log into Drupal with it. So rather than have all these separate passwords and things around, so It's been interesting how it's become insurance. Basically, they won't offer cyber insurance to someone who doesn't tick all the boxes.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I know. You got to take it seriously.
Yeah. Well,
Bill.
on a lighter note, Zach is our DevOps and security analyst, and he's always teaching the team, habits, right? So if you walk away from your desk and you don't lock your computer, he's on you, right?
Oh,
and,
I love that.
and just checking that everybody's got their OS up to date, and he makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps changing my wallpaper to Toronto Maple Leafs. It's just driving me crazy.
How does he keep getting in there, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay, well, let's switch gears a little and let's talk growth, because Aptitude Digital doubled its revenue this year, which is congratulations. That's
Incredible.
amazing. Yeah. So I'm curious, how do you manage that growth?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Recurring themes. When we started, we saw this coming, and that was one of the things that we looked at with the 4-day work week.
Mm-hmm.
Employee retention. Having our key people committed, engaged, and staying with us. That's what's enabled us to foster this growth over the last year.
It's really hard to manage growth if you're having high turnover and having to spend time training new employees all the time. Yeah.
Totally. Do you have any stats or data on your retention rate over the past year? Or is it
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do tell.
No, it's 100%.
Oh, I thought you were agreeing to my question. 100%. Oh, amazing. Wow.
This is maybe anecdotal, but we go to the NSCC job fair every year, and in the past have struggled to. Well, the message has been get the offers out there quick because someone else is going to grab them, right? Well, this year I think the lure of the 4-day work week was a big carrot, to come work for Aptitude. So that's
Totally.
that was a real example of the quality of people that skills and we got some great new staff this year.
Yeah. Big shout out to NSCC.
Yeah.
I mean, they do.
They do a lot of great things.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you said 15, but you also said you added some new people this year? Or what do you?
I don't know the number off the top. I have to
We
get
just
my
had some
fingers
co-op
out,
students leave.
we have-
Well, they didn't leave. They're still working for us part time as they finish
nice.
up their second years, and then so they'll come on as full times when they graduate, and then bring in some more co-op students. That's
Amazing.
We've hired some subcontractors for the first time. We had, that was new for us. We found a good group of 2 or 3 folks who are gelling really well with the team. So that's, allowed us to go with that growth. Is that growth going to stay? You have
Right.
to kind of be cautious, right? So
Yeah.
adding people to the team we've always got a job ad up. We're looking for the right people.
Yeah.
Sometimes we suffer on delivery because we need more people and we don't have them, but we're not going to hire it's just
Right.
finding someone who fits is almost more important than the technology, so I think that's that's the balance we're always looking to strike.
Yeah.
So you said the job ad is kind of always up. You're looking for the right people.
Yeah.
So besides the 4-day work week, what else is the draw to come to Aptitude? What do you guys love most about the workplace?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that because it reminded me of something I wanted to mention. It's a very supportive environment. And there's, I can throw out lots of buzzwords, but I think we live and breathe it. There's not a lot of ego in the conversations. And it's really easy to introduce that. You have to be protective of it and make sure everybody has a chance to say their piece. But you'll find yourself in a meeting arguing the other person's point, and it's an honest conversation when that happens, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of gets to what's the best solution, right? And I think that's a really important part of it.
No, it is. We strive to be a very flat organization, so that when, and given our size, we're able to do that, so that everybody can sit at the table and have an equal part in the conversation.
That's important. Do you think Aptitude has always been that way, or has it grown into that with the current staff that you have, or?
I mean, we've certainly learned lessons over the years
Yeah.
on how, not to behave or how, what to focus on to, create a better environment for sure. It hasn't always been, the way we are right now, but we're recognizing we've got a really great mix of team, and we're trying to kind of analyze what is it that we like about this, and how do we maintain it, Yeah.
And if you don't give everybody an equal opportunity, to express their ideas and their opinions, how are you going to understand their strengths?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's, I think that's really important. Whether you're, a fresh graduate or, have 10 years development experience, you've got life experiences, you've got, ideas that, impact projects positively.
Well, I only ask because it sounds so nice and obviously common sense, but not every business operates that way, or not every place that I've worked has operated that way. So it's nice. It's nice to hear. I was just curious if it has always been that way, or yeah.
Do you find that staff are more focused on work culture than they were in the past? Is that more of a priority for your staff, or something you talk about more often than you did, say, 20 years ago? Or
Like COVID, certainly, the move to work at home, or more work at home, or mostly work at home, you have to work at the missing pieces. And so we have some we have a golf, I won't call it a tournament, but a fun afternoon we do every year, and we try to have some in-person things. Wednesday has been a big day for us, where everybody mostly comes into the office on Wednesday. That's a day that we can kind of we work. I always say to people, don't judge this day on how much work you got done at the computer. There's other things happening here. You're connecting. We're moving conversations forward. It's just a different day. So
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. The last question really is there anything else you want to talk about? We're going to give the floor to you. Is there anything that we didn't touch on today? Anything exciting coming up for Aptitude that you wanted to announce, or we'll pass it over?
I think we've had enough change for this year.
You're tired.
Technology-wise, I think e-commerce has become on a couple different projects for us, and Drupal has a module called Drupal Commerce, and it's a big thing. We've been working with Centero, the organization that made that module. So I've just geeking out here a little bit. I've been excited about that, change for us. It's just another facet of Drupal for us, so that's been great.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was really, really interesting. I know I can say probably for both Claire and I, hearing more about Aptitude Digital and the work you guys are doing, and the 4-day work week. Sounds like you guys are really fine-tuning, what the workplace, works for everyone there. So,
and what a lot of people, I think there's a lot of takeaways for other organizations,
Sure.
So
yeah. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank
you
so
for
much.
having us. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to All Hands on Tech. Interested in learning more? Visit us on our website at www.digitalnovascotia.com. We'll see you next time.
This
has been
a Podstarter
production.